Tens of thousands of people gathered at Delhi's Red Fort. Millions listened at home and watched television, all waiting to hear the words of Narendra Modi on Independence Day. And for Indian nationalists, he did not disappoint. He said his decision to strip Indian-administered Kashmir of its special status was a major achievement and it would restore the region to its past glory. Mr. Modi did not refer to the lockdown and communications blackout imposed in Kashmir since his decision 11 days ago. Let's have a listen. As India says that security has been eased in Hindu-majority Jammu, but will continue in the mainly Muslim Kashmir Valley for an unspecified time. To remind you, for the past 10 days, we've seen this part of Kashmir in lockdown. Thousands of extra security forces have been patrolling the streets, telephone and internet services have been suspended, protests banned, and leaders locked up. Well, heavy security remains in place in Indian-administered Kashmir as people prepare to celebrate the Muslim festival of Eid. Some large mosques are expected to remain closed in the Muslim-majority territory. Smaller mosques, though, are open to worshippers. The region has largely been in lockdown since India announced a week ago that it was revoking Kashmir's special semi-autonomous status.
We were actually able to ask a government spokesman about it. According to him, there is no curfew in place, just rules that don't allow more than 4 people to gather in any place at a time. However, police vans have been doing the rounds in the city, saying that there's a curfew in place and that people should stay indoors. So quite a mixed message that's being sent across. Phone and internet lines remain cut off for nearly a week now. People aren't able to communicate with each other. Indian-administered Kashmir remains volatile and tense since Monday, when the national government revoked this region's special status. On Friday, mass protests took place in a part of Srinagar in which thousands of people participated. It was filmed by a BBC team. In it, you can see people running to safety. You can hear gunshots being fired. There are reports that people have been injured in that protest, but we aren't able to go to the hospital, being stopped either by angry locals or by security forces.
Few kilometers from the line of control and lying in the heart of Pakistan-administered Kashmir, this city has been one of the safest destinations for those
Straight to Secunda Kamani, who is in Muzaffarabad for us. That is the capital of Pakistani-administered Kashmir, where everyone has been listening, I imagine, to Imran Khan speak today. Secunda, tell us what he said.
Yes, that's right. Imran Khan was just speaking in this building behind me, the local parliament in Pakistani-administered Kashmir. And really, coming here today, he had at least 2 audiences in mind, a domestic one and an international one. When it comes to Pakistanis and those living here in Pakistan-administered Kashmir, he promised them that he would be the voice for the Kashmiri cause, taking it up on every available forum. When it came to the international community, he had a warning. He said that the United Nations needed to intervene in this growing crisis in Kashmir. The Kashmir region is, of course, disputed between both Pakistan and India. And Imran Khan had a message as well for Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He said that his actions in Indian-administered Kashmir would prove to be a crucial blunder, that once this de facto curfew that's in place was lifted, then all kinds of activities would start again. We would learn about some alleged atrocities potentially by the Indian armed forces, and there would be an uprising, really, of some sort in Indian-administered Kashmir.
I mean, we can read so much into his words, Secunda, and he's only just spoken. But he also said to India, we will respond to whatever you do. We will go until the end. What does he mean by that?
Well, look, at the moment, it's very clear Pakistani officials want to appear the reasonable ones in this dispute. They are not talking about taking military action. They're talking about a diplomatic offensive. They have said, and Imran Khan, as you say, did say here just a few moments ago, that were India to take any action, military action against Pakistan or against Pakistani-administered Kashmir, that he would respond with military force to any Indian attack. But certainly at the moment, the Pakistani authorities are being very careful to emphasize that they're trying to take the diplomatic route at the moment.
And Secunda, how are people in Muzaffarabad feeling about what is happening with their Kashmiri brothers?
Well, certainly for people in Pakistan and in particular in Pakistani-administered Kashmir, the Kashmiri cause is a deeply emotive one. Generations of Pakistanis have grown up believing that Kashmir should be part of Pakistan, or at least independent, and certainly shouldn't be part of. I was here for about just a few days ago, speaking to local people, speaking to people at protests, family.
We seem to be having a few problems with our line there to Secunda in Muzaffarabad. As you can imagine, difficulties with communications at times like this. But we can take you to Rahul Tandon, monitoring events for us from Delhi. And I'm just wondering, Rahul, there was some fiery language from Imran Khan. Has there been any reaction in India?
Not yet, and I don't think that the authorities in Delhi will be surprised about what the Prime Minister of Pakistan has said. We may get a response from the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he addresses his nation tomorrow on Indian Independence Day. But during the course of this week, Lucy, we've had briefings from senior Indian government officials who've made it categorically clear that this is an internal matter for the Indian government. It is none of the business of Pakistan, is the language that they use. And also they've been keen to point out that, look, when it comes to relations between the two countries at the moment, they say it's Pakistan who has decided to cut off train links. It's Pakistan who's tried to cut off the bus links as well. India at the moment says we have no problems with those. So I think they're trying to put the blame for any increase in tensions across the border. But there'll be no surprise with Imran Khan's comments at all today. And I'm sure Mr. Modi will make his response tomorrow.
Rahul, we're seeing pictures of empty streets, soldiers on those streets as well in Kashmir. What do we know about the lifting of some of those security restrictions that were announced today?
We know that in the Hindu area of Jammu that the restrictions on movement have been lifted. But in the valley, which is where the predominantly Muslim population of that area lives, the restrictions are as severe, if not more severe than ever before at the moment, as India moves towards Indian Independence Day. So once again, as we've been saying throughout the last 10 days, there's two very differing narratives here. The Indians say it's peaceful, not too many problems, but what we hear from the ground is seething anger. And in the last hour, we're getting reports that Shah Faisal, who's a Kashmiri politician who was on Hard Talk on the BBC World yesterday evening, has been picked up and detained as he tried to leave the country. In an emotional interview with Stephen Saka yesterday, he said the people of Kashmir had been betrayed and also that the removal of autonomy was an insult. So still many people in detention, and still we wait to really hear the voice of the people of Indian-administered Kashmir, whilst the Indians say the vast majority there are supporting their actions.
Rahul, it was very good to see you, and thank you for teeing up our very next piece of interview. Rahul, they're talking about that Kashmiri politician who gave an interview to the BBC's Stephen Saka and that Hard Talk programme. In the interview, as Rahul was saying, Faisal Shah of Jammu Kashmir's People Movement told Stephen Saka that he was apprehensive of his arrest, and as Rahul was just saying, he has now been arrested. Have a listen.
Most of the political leaders who belong to my political party and all other political parties have been detained. I am the only person from the all-party meeting which met there in Srinagar on 4th who is free, and honestly speaking, I'm ashamed of myself that I'm free at a time when the entire leadership of Kashmir is under, in jail, and all the 8 million people have been imprisoned.
Do you think, in all honesty, when this interview is done and perhaps over the next few days you'll try to go back to Kashmir, do you think you will be free for long?
Police has come to my home a couple of times after I left, and it's also a story in itself the way I reached airport and came to Delhi. Because of communication breakdown, maybe people could not communicate to their higher-ups about my escape from the airport, but I am very much apprehensive that soon after I leave from here, I may be detained, like anybody else.
So prophetic words there. Faisal Shah has now been arrested. Well, the decision to revoke Kashmir's autonomy has been criticised by a number of Indian opposition leaders and activists and by neighbouring Pakistan. The disputed territory has been in lockdown since Delhi's decision. Hundreds of people remain in detention as well. Shortly after his speech, the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan posted a tweet urging the international community to act on the Kashmir issue. He wrote, "I want to warn the international community, if it allows this to happen, it will have severe repercussions and reactions in the Muslim world, setting off radicalisation and cycles of violence." We've got correspondents covering the story from both sides of the border. Let's take you to Rahul Tandon, who is in Delhi for us, Secunda Kamani, who is in Islamabad. Firstly, Rahul, listening to his speech today on India's Independence Day, what is the most significant thing you feel Narendra Modi had to say?
I think the most significant thing was what Mr. Narendra Modi didn't say. He got up at around 7:30 in the morning and started his speech, and he finished it 92 minutes later. In that 92 minutes, he never referred to Pakistan, and he never referred to their Prime Minister, Imran Khan. Contrast to the speech yesterday by the Pakistani Prime Minister, which was full of comments about India and its Prime Minister. And I think it shows you India's position here. They say it's an internal matter, and they are not going to respond to comments that are coming from across the border. He played to the Indian people. Mr. Modi is a brilliant orator in Hindi, and he once again portrayed that strong man message that has won him the election and has made him the most popular politician in generations, basically saying, I have the guts to take decisions that others have not been able to take for 70 years. He said autonomy had been a mistake for Indian-administered Kashmir and had led to nothing but nepotism and corruption. It's a speech that'll go well with his fan base. Within Indian-administered Kashmir, we're back with that same problem, Lucy. Very difficult to communicate with people. The roadblocks still in place, the internet cut off, no phone lines. What did they make of it? We don't know.
Secunda, in terms of what people are making of it, a quick tweet from Imran Khan after the speech. Tell us more about what he's said and the feelings in Pakistan today.
Well, there hasn't been a great deal of coverage of Narendra Modi's speech today in Pakistan. Just as I understand from Rahul, there wasn't a great deal of coverage in India of Prime Minister Imran Khan's speech yesterday in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. But certainly there's a rising anger here in Pakistan about Indian activities in Indian-administered Kashmir. Generations of Pakistanis have grown up believing that all of Kashmir should be part of Pakistan, or at least should be independent from India. Today, the Pakistani authorities have called on people to carry out protests and demonstrations in cities across Pakistan, commemorating Indian Independence Day as a black day. And there's been some good news for the Pakistani authorities as they would see it. There are currently reports that the United Nations Security Council will hold a closed-door meeting tomorrow to discuss Kashmir. Now, that's not been officially confirmed to the BBC yet, but if it does go ahead, it will be seen as a vindication of Pakistan's position that, or Pakistani attempts, I should say, to try and internationalize this issue. They've been trying to galvanize international opinion against what India has been doing in Kashmir. Imran Khan has been repeatedly comparing the ideology behind Narendra Modi's BJP ruling party in India to the ideology of the Nazi party. Today, in his tweet, as you say, Imran Khan raised the prospect of ethnic cleansing or ethnic-related massacre, as happened in Srebrenica. So what we're seeing from the Pakistani authorities is an attempt really to try and capture the world's attention and try and force the United Nations perhaps to intervene in some way.
Secunda, good to see you. Rahul as well. Thank you for joining us from Delhi and from Islamabad.